What's up, boys? Welcome back. Bit of a crazy one today. The house I'm living in Florida right now is actually a house that belongs to a couple of students of mine. Jackson and Carson joined our program on personal branding about a year ago. Have had some major success in their businesses, grown their socials. Massive. Everyone in that house right now is taking phone calls, doing deals, filming content. That house is fucking crazy. So I'm sitting in their roles to get some quiet time to tell you how I got to a point where I'm around these people. I'm living this life. I've made $4 million in my business over the last 4 years. And once upon a time, I was a kid that didn't know anything about business. And I actually failed my first business at 20 years old. I've been now working for myself profitably since I was 22, and I'm 27, nearly 28. So what are the mistakes that I've learned from in the last 5 years that have changed the game for me that you can learn from as well if you are starting out in entrepreneurship? Number one is bootstrap, bootstrap, bootstrap. You don't have a business until you have cash flow. Cash flow is king. If you can make money, if you can be profitable, if you can sell, if you have cash collected, then you have a business. The problem is the majority of people get hung up on the minutia, the small and minor details that don't actually matter inside a business before doing the one thing that matters because they're scared of it. And that one thing that matters is sales. If you can bring in deals and make money, then you have a business. You can have the fanciest headquarters. You can have the fanciest fucking website. You can have employees. But if you are not making money, then you do not have a business. So the first thing to do in any business, and the way I teach inside of my programs on personal brand, is that we always sell before we build the product. So let's say we're doing you want to make an info product and you want to sell, let's just say personal training. You're a fitness coach online. You want to sell it for $1,000. So what I would recommend you do first is for the first 5 people that join, because they're getting it before the program's made, before you've had any customers, they get it half off. Before you put any work into that business, before you start an LLC, before you start a website, before you do any of that stuff, you sell those first 5 spots. And when you have made your $2,500, and only then do you put the time into, okay, what website do I need? What apps do I need to host this from? What courses do I need? And you reach out to those customers and you say, by the way, this will be ready in 7 days' time for you guys. You got it half off. It's a pre-sale. That's why it was a good price for you. Just give me a minute to get things ready. That's one of the most important lessons in business. You probably heard it from Tate. I'm pretty sure he said that as well. I'd started doing it before I heard it in his videos, but Tate says the same thing, and that's because it's standard, very, very good advice. You have to sell before you start the business. Do not worry about the other shit. If you have cash flow coming in, you can fix any other problem. Number 2, social media, no matter what business you're in, is an absolute game changer. And it is something that every founder, CEO, entrepreneur should be focusing on at least one time per day. You should have at least one piece of Instagram content, YouTube, something showing the journey, documenting the company's growth, documenting the problems you encounter as a founder, documenting the reason why you came up with the product or the service that you're doing, something so that you can leverage the power of organic social media and grow your business, because it really is the thing that changed my life more than anything in the world. I tried businesses before social media and none of them worked until I had a brand, until I had people that understood, respected, and admired my journey. That is exactly what I'm teaching on my free live event for 90 minutes, is how I changed my life from 9-to-5 worker to making $4 million with a personal brand. I'm going to teach you everything I know for free in 90 minutes. You can get a free ticket to our event underneath. Limited spots. Try and grab one now. And we're also giving away $5,000 on that event. But that being said, make sure you show up to that. That's on Saturday, 12 p.m. EST. Coming up, it'd be live. Social media is one of the best attributes you have got, one of the best arms of marketing of your business. I believe that business is sales predominantly, and obviously marketing. Your marketing leads to your sales. Your marketing is where people understand what your product is. They understand who you are. They understand the reason why they should buy. Sales is turning those people that are interested into customers. Those 2 things, marketing and sales, are the only things you need to get good at to get rich. Everything else can be hired fairly cheap. Everything else can be fixed afterwards. Operations, systems, design, all of those things can be fixed if you have marketing and sales. If there's 2 skills I would recommend you learn better than anything else, it would be marketing of your business online organic social media. Companies pay millions of dollars for views. If you can get views for free organically because you understand social media, you are so far ahead of the game. I spend zero money on ad spend for my business, and we do anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 a month. Cash collected with no marketing ad spend, 90% profit margins. That is unheard of. The majority of businesses you see, if they're in e-commerce, they say they're doing $2 million a month. The founder is maybe taking home 10% of that profit margin. That's the difference. And we talk numbers in the info and social space business. We're talking 90% profit margins, and those are healthy numbers. Number 3 is learning how to network. At the start of my journey, I wasn't very good at networking. I didn't really understand the concept of networking, and I thought that the whole point of networking was to find people that would give you money or an opportunity or do business with you or you'd sell something to. And that ended up, for me, pretty much taking away all of my opportunities. I was not very good at networking at all. Then I realized that networking is actually just making friends, that you never go into a networking situation trying to do business. You never go in trying to hand out your business card or do numbers or make deals come together. You go into these relationships when you're at networking events, when you meet people that are making far more money than you. You do these things to become friends with them and see if you genuinely vibe. And if you do, business is normally a byproduct of friendship down the line. You end up doing business because you tell them about what you do, and if they need that doing for them, they're going to choose you because they like you. Whereas most people get networking wrong when they're young. They're going out to find a job, to ask for something, instead of just genuinely connecting and making friends. Because I'll tell you now, somebody genuinely likes you, vibes with you, and they make a shit ton of money and have opportunity, they're gonna pass it your way. But they might have the most money and opportunity in the world. But if they don't like you, no matter how much you ask, you will not get anything from them. So that's a very important lesson that I made very early on. I was always making that mistake. It's only after I learned that my connections leveled up because I was looking for friendship, not for money. Number 4 is thinking too small. It's actually easier to make $1 million than it is to make $100,000. Let me explain. So I used to make under $100,000, $50,000, right? A year, working in sales, doing 200 cold calls a day. And I hated the job. 9 to 5, going in, hammering those fucking phones, trying to get people to buy telephone systems for their business. Who the fuck wants that? You call a business owner on a fucking Tuesday afternoon. Hey, would you like to rip out all your phones and put new phones in? And they're like, what? No, I've got so many other things on my plate. It's like the worst offer ever. But if we call 200 people, you'd normally find a couple of people that were looking at their phones were up for renewal. I did that for a couple of years. 200 calls a day, net myself sometimes 50K a year USD, sometimes a bit under. It was harder doing that than it was in my first year of social media and building my own info business, doing $1 million cash collected was easier because of leverage, because I had leverage and ownership. And that's what you're looking for, and that requires risk. Every time you take a salary, what you are missing out on is the multiplier that risk gives you on the back end. Every time you take the safe and secure option as an entrepreneur, the longer you take that safe and secure option of that salary that's coming, somebody else gets the multiplier. You don't get it. But when you decide to take the risk for yourself, maybe you get no money for the first 6 months. That's what it was like in my business, my social media. No money first 6 months. Doesn't matter because you're having the fucking time of your life. You don't give a shit. And then after that, you get a multiplier, 10x, 20x, what you would have originally earned. And that comes from the fact that you were willing to take risk in business. And that's a very important lesson to know. Every time you take risk, the more money you stand to make. Every time you take the safe salary, the less money you stand to make. Number 5 is weather the storm. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur, it is not the same as being a salaried employee. You're not making a guaranteed $3,000 a month every single month. You might make $3,000 in 1 month. You might make minus $2,000 after payroll 1 month. You might make plus $150,000 1 month. One of the important lessons to learn, and this nearly put me out of business when I first started, was that just because you had one $50,000 month does not mean the next month is going to be a $50,000 month. Things happen, markets change, offers change. You have to constantly be evolving. You have to stay on top of things. You have to be learning. Everything entropies. If you don't look after it, it dies. If you don't improve it, it dies. If you do 50K and you rest on your laurels, next month you'll do 40, then 30, then 20. Weather the storm. This means save enough money to be able to weather the storm and stay in the game just in case something happens to your business that takes you out of the game. Number 6 is alcohol, nicotine, caffeine. These things can become pretty addictive as a entrepreneur, as a high value man, as somebody that's living life on the edge under a lot of pressure. You want to take the pressure off of thinking about your business, so you drink. You want to perform the next day, so you drink caffeine. You want to dial in your focus, so you do nicotine. What I can tell you from doing these things to excess over and over again, and now being sober for pretty much all of them other than caffeine, which I'm moderating my use of caffeine, I'm not fucking totally overdoing it, is that those things over time, alcohol and nicotine, will steal your soul and who you are and your creativity. And what goes up must come down. You have to understand that in business. If you are using a pill, or you are using a powder, or you are using a drink to make you feel a certain way and it's making you feel better than you should, you are going to come down from that feeling eventually. You are not going to stay at that high level forever. You are going to have to come down and you're going to have to chase that high. Over time, that's going to wear you out. It's going to burn you out. You are enough on your own. You have enough energy without these things. You just have to refine that place. And having been sober for about 165 days this year now, being free of nicotine, I can tell you it's the best I've ever felt. I've got real, clean, clear energy, and I don't make the same mistakes. If you count up, even you drink 12 times in a year, once a month, most people say that's absolutely fine. That's over probably 30 days that you were not operating at your best. 3 days to recover from each session of drinking. If it was a heavy session, 3 days to properly get back to baseline. 30 days you missed that I won't miss. For me, it was a lot more than that before. It was maybe 2 times, 3 times a month, sometimes week-long benders, just because I could, because I had the money. That shit will ruin you so fast. Just because you have money doesn't mean you should spend it on that stuff. Just because you don't have to go to work anymore means you need more discipline to have freedom in your life. Most people cannot handle the freedom that entrepreneurship gives them, because before you were contained by your job, you had rules to follow. Now you have no rules to follow, so you have to build, design, and set up your own life. And that could be the most beautiful thing in the world if you set it up right, or it can destroy you. There's something to watch out for. And finally, making lots of money, but forgetting how to fucking spend it. There's this whole world of, oh, I'm doing 100K a month. Do you want to come to the club with me? Let's spend 15K. It's only 15K on this table. Prices start to get all fucked up in your mind. So you start to think like, 10K is not a lot of money. Fair enough. It's not, right? It's not in the grand scheme of things, but it still buys a lot. And you've got to remember that. So 10K can buy you a fuck ton of ads and you can grow your business. It can buy you a staff member's salary for 2, sometimes 3 months. If it's a Filipino VA, it can buy you 6 months of salary. There's a lot of things you can spend that money on, but often when you start making big money, you get pulled into this space of like, oh, Louis Vuitton, let's spend 10K in there. Dior, let's spend 10K in there. Boom, let's go and spend 10K at the club, or let's spend 15K on this trip in Ibiza, where we get a couple of tables and 3 days of drinking and doing crazy stuff, all that destroy the business. My rule for spending money now is it has to grow the business in somewhere. It has to grow me personally as a person. You could do a 15K bender in Ibiza, or you could spend a month learning to skydive, learning kite surfing, traveling to the Caribbean. You could have the most amazing time, make the most amazing content, and learn new skills for the same money that you could for 3 days trying to feel like a badass fucking hose in the middle of Ibiza. That's the difference. And you have to remember when you make that money to spend it right. Spend it to build that life, and remember the power your money has. Even when your mind starts to get numb to it, when you've made 100K, months and months in a row, remember the power that money has to give you adventure, to give you that lifestyle that you wanted in the first place, and the whole reason you got into this. So, guys, I hope that helps. If you're interested in this stuff, or what I could teach you about starting your business off of social media, make sure to check out the link below and sign up to our free live event. It'll be an absolute pleasure to see you on there. See you on the next one. Whoop-ow!